Here is This Week in Louisiana Politics.
Good Sunday morning to you. I'm Fred Childers. Thanks for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Politics on your local election headquarters. It was a busy week in the legislature. Lawmakers are one step closer to a budget after a nearly unanimous vote in the House. House Bill 1 passed out of the full House with a 98-6 vote, signaling lawmakers on both sides reached a consensus on funding. The bill's author, Appropriations Committee Chairman Jack McFarland, says his legislation got such little resistance because despite their disadvantage of having less revenue, they were still able to keep the legislature's and Governor Jeff Landry's priorities fully funded.
We know that we have a shortfall coming next year. So we were able to address that shortfall with some reductions. We were still able to meet our teacher stipend and fund the $200 million there, and at the same time bring everyone together behind that. Now, the majority of the legislature was in full support of giving a teacher stipend, and obviously you see that today as the bill came out of the House. House Bill 1 came out unanimous. So everyone knows that there is a concerted effort that we do value our teachers. In addition, we still find a way to fund those vital services that you asked about.
House Bill 1 now heads to the Senate. And the teacher pay raise mentioned was one already given, and it's considered a stipend. Now teachers are one step closer to getting a permanent and actual pay raise after a couple of bills advanced out of the House. The legislation would pave the way for a $2,000 a year raise for all teachers. Lawmakers say if they're getting that stipend, then if this becomes law, they'd get the actual raise as well. The plan under this legislation is to pay down debt in the teachers' retirement fund. The effort includes a constitutional amendment, which means it would have to go before the voters next year. Well, it wasn't just lawmakers making headlines at the legislature. A huge crowd of Louisiana fathers came together for the first Dad's Day at the Capitol. It's meant to spotlight the important role father figures play in children's lives. Louisiana First News reporter Michelle Masson has more.
Self-described dadvocate Andrew Aparicio shared his story of becoming a parent in hopes of inspiring and connecting to others.
My twins were born premature, and unfortunately after 8 days my daughter Asani passed away. My son was in the NICU unit, and as a first-time dad, this is one of the most difficult times that I ever faced.
He and others like him report a confusing mix of feelings when it comes to fatherhood, from joy and pride to loneliness and isolation.
I've never felt more disempowered than at the birth of my first child 12 years ago. The experience that I thought was supposed to be filled with joy was actually really scary and really lonely.
We're here today because fatherhood matters. And yet far too many children in Louisiana are growing up without their fathers consistently involved in their lives.
Senator Royce Duplessis co-sponsoring the Fatherhood Engagement Task Force resolution, which was filed in the legislature this year. He's calling for a statewide task force to study best practices and recommend policy changes to better engage and support fathers across state agencies, which he believes will help our state's future.
Children with involved fathers are 39% more likely to earn A's in school and 45% less likely to repeat a grade. We're here to facilitate relationship building and advocacy between fathers from across the state.
Duplessis says children with involved dads are 80% less likely to go to jail and twice as likely to go to college and secure a stable job. In Baton Rouge, Michelle Masson, Louisiana First News.
Louisiana currently ranks among the worst in the nation for policies that support and engage fathers, and has the highest male incarceration rate in the U.S. While the Mid-Barataria project appears dead in the water, lawmakers on Capitol Hill are assuring the public that more funding could be on the way. House Majority Leader Congressman Steve Scalise says creating more jobs in the oil industry will bring in additional money for Louisiana coastal restoration efforts. Scalise said he was able to add something to President Trump's signature legislation, what he called the Big Beautiful Bill. He says it lifts the cap on revenue sharing for offshore drilling. That move is expected to produce hundreds of millions of dollars that Scalise told House members in the state legislature it would be used to restore Louisiana's coast. However, environmental experts say it will have the opposite effect, saying more drilling will hurt our already fragile coastline. Only months removed from the death of Caleb Wilson, a 20-year-old Southern University student, and lawmakers are looking to pass legislation to prevent the type of tragedy that reportedly took his life. On Wednesday, Capitol lawmakers in the House Education Committee were presented with House Bill 279 by Representative Delisha Boyd. The bill would require students wanting to join an organization to complete an anti-hazing course. Boyd tells the committee the time for a task force studying this issue is past, and she says now it's time for action.
But I think we need to step it up right now and implement something that will empower the children. There was a task force done in 2018 for LSU, and since then there have been 47 additional hazing instances. It is rampant and out of control. I've met with people from Tulane University, from Southern University, with the bands, the sporting organizations, with the hazing. This course will just be designed to be interactive with the incoming students who are not aware of what hazing may look like.
Now, some amendments were adopted to that bill. Those changes are transferring the responsibility of the training from the college to the organization. They would also increase the training from 1 hour to 2 hours a semester, and if the organization doesn't comply, it could be terminated. The Louisiana Department of Health is encouraging people to get vaccinated against whooping cough, saying it's preventable. This as they report 6 new whooping cough cases. Pregnant women are urged to get vaccinated to protect their infants from the time of their birth. Doctors saying the youngest are the most vulnerable to whooping cough. Doctors also urging anyone who knows they are going to come into contact with infants to get the vaccine as well.
Cases. So pertussis, which is also known as whooping cough, is a highly infectious respiratory disease. It is spread through respiratory droplets that are produced when an infected person coughs or sneezes.
The state is reporting that 2 infants have died this year from whooping cough. They also say there are no measles cases in our state. Coming up, former Baton Rouge Mayor Kip Holden's legacy he left behind after the sad news of his passing this week. That and more next.